Hi, my name is Elena Karsiog. I'm a 21-year-old film student in London and an aspiring cinematographer slash VP stage operator. I will be focusing today on the transition between being a student and being a working professional. In doing so, I thought of interviewing a couple of people, and when I reached out to my number one choice, I was invited to come into a working environment, which was an event hosted by Anna Valley about the Take Two new line of cameras and an introduction into the VP stage and what it can do for cinematographers. So, the room was filled with cinematographers and there was a lot of crew working the day itself. I had the opportunity to see them in their own working environments, observe the skills that I need to acquire, and in addition get to interview a couple of people, which turned out to be a little bit difficult as people who work behind the camera most often do not wish to be placed in front of one. So either way, I got 3 interviews. I believe they are a perfect range because we have an educational approach, we have a entirely only industry-based approach, and we have a slightly mixed approach. So these 3 interviews, even though they're not quite exactly as many as I would have liked to have, or at the quality I would have liked them to be at, as they were taken at the end of a working day. They cover a lot, but where the most valuable information I got on the day was working in tandem with these working professionals, observing them, and absorbing more knowledge than I could have from an interview anyways. Now on to Mara.
Hey, my name is Lara. I am a virtual production technician at Garden Studios. So I started working here just over 2 years ago, right after I finished my post-production masters. And I sort of got recommended by my course leader at the time because of the technical skills that I had acquired during my course. So really over the past 2 years, all I've been doing is just learning Unreal and virtual production. And I did get to a point where now I get to operate Unreal on the day. But yeah, it has been just learning over the past 2 years.
So Mara's approach is a very conventional one. She went to university, then finished masters, and on the basis of the skill set she had acquired, was then recommended onwards to work on the VP stage. Her skill set includes coding, editing, video editing across multiple platforms, and 3D modeling across multiple platforms with a basis in Unreal Engine, which is the predominant 3D modeling software that works on virtual reality stages. So her work is entirely in the virtual realm, meaning she spends a lot of time in the suite, the computer suite that everyone sits on right in front of the virtual stage, interacting in real time with the virtual realm that is being presented on the stage, being able to move its perspective, and also making sure that the connection between the computer on the camera, which is scanning the ceiling of the place, is perfect so that the tracking on the camera to the virtual realm is smooth and does not look fake. So I'd like to introduce Richard Lloyd. I was his trainee on the day. He taught me everything. He was supervising me directly, and he was making sure that I was doing my job. My job fundamentally being making sure the batteries are charged, all of the cables are where they are, and cleaning the cameras after every single person got to use them experimentally at the event. So he took a rather unconventional route. He decided not to opt for the educational route. He decided to go straight into it, try and work for as much as he could, get his portfolio developed, working on student films to start off with, and then making his way up the ladder. And his advice is to go directly to a rental house or kit room, as he goes on to say now.
Hello, I'm Richard Lloyd. I work for Program Take Two as a camera operator / technician. I've been working with the company for 5 years, and I have done a few different camera operating jobs before that, a few for some corporate video production companies and for other kit room facilities. A good way to start out is through a kit hire company or a kit room. So that might be camera tech. A lot of production companies don't have the finances to purchase their own camera equipment, so they'll hire it out through companies like Program Take Two. So it's a really good avenue for people who want to get hands-on with the camera equipment to
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a virtual production technician here at the Garden Studios. I started working in camera department first of all. Got some jobs sort of on short films and things, focus pulling for free, and then sort of worked up from that point to bigger and better jobs and eventually paid jobs. And then during the pandemic, I sort of left that behind when all the work dried up and came to work at Garden as a VP technician. And since then, I've learned all the Unreal and other stuff, but essentially just network, get to know people, and just be up for anything basically. Just be a nice person to work with because that's way more important than knowing everything. Yeah, just because you're going to spend sort of 12-hour days with people. You can learn all the camera stuff, but so long as you're nice to work with, people will keep having you back.
So that was Sam Kemp. His approach was similar to both, but was mixed. He went through education, but also climbed the hierarchy of the industry. He did so by starting with BTS at a small production, doing a lot of unpaid work, and then moving into bigger projects. He was one of the most fortunate people during the pandemic to be offered a full-time contracted job. He is rather humble. I must add that Sam Kemp runs the entire VP stage and quite often DOPs on most of the films that are shot on there. Sam Kemp is indispensable to the company. He has made himself this way by acquiring a huge skill set that nobody else has, and I think that one of the more interesting things he mentioned is that it is far more important for you to be nice to work with, easy to be around, and just a nice person overall, as everything else can be taught. This I've heard all day from every single person I've asked. It's more important to be nice, it's more important to get along with people, and not to be someone who brings the entire group down and brings the morale down of the team. That's something I hadn't considered before. I hadn't considered how important the way you act is, as I've been hyper-focused on gaining this tremendous skill set, which I'm now realizing is far easier to just pick up whilst on the job than it is to learn from textbooks. I'm looking forward to working more with Sam. I've left a good impression, I hope, and he has called me back on more projects, so I believe this will be my route. I will keep working with the folk at Garden Studios and hopefully be recommended from there onwards. I believe it to be a good starting point. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.